Welcome to the Two Fat Guys and Album Podcast, your weekly dive into iconic albums and our search for the modern classics. Can you imagine you are in a very successful band coming off a hugely successful tour for a massive album, and your leader, the lead singer, decides to leave the band? What do you do? Well, if you're the remaining members of the band Genesis, you simply continue to create great music with the members you have left. The album today is Trick of the Tail, the first Genesis album after the departure of Peter Gabriel. In the Beyond Classic Rock segment, we will look at the neo-prog masterpiece, Misplaced Childhood, by the English band Marillion. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more album reviews, in-depth discussions, and music analysis from two fat guys who love talking about music no matter the genre. I am Mike Blackburn. I'll be your host and narrator, and with me, as always, is my good friend, the maestro of music, the siren of sound, the doctor of the diminished chord, Brek Hufnus. Welcome to the Fat Cave, Maestro.
Thank you. Good morning.
So we begin this usually with some cleanup on aisle one.
We've got some cleanup. There might have been some spilt milk or whatever.
Yeah.
Not a lot, just some dangling ideas, yeah.
Unanswered questions.
Unanswered questions. Let's see. We have, I think the one was you asked who owns Eddie from Iron Maiden. Because last week's show was Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, and then Somewhere More Familiar by Sister Hazel. Those were our two albums. And one of the first things that came that you had asked about was the very famous Iron Maiden mascot, Eddie.
Mm-hmm. Who makes stage appearances, is on all the album covers, yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know how many members of the band, like a fourth member of the band, I suppose, or fifth, or whatever. Yeah. I'd have to go back and listen to last week's episode. But the person that owns Eddie is actually the creator, Derek Riggs, the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And he created Eddie before Iron Maiden. It was already a piece of artwork that he had done, which was intentionally intended for I don't know if it was for a punk band or for Iron Maiden in their previous iteration or something like that. But he had created this artwork already. Also, Iron Maiden had already been like having a guy in a mask, or the mask thing was in their early shows, and they sort of married these two concepts together. But the short answer is the artist owns Eddie.
It's good work if you can get it.
Yeah.
Designing an album cover, a few times a year or every other year.
And I don't know. I think an album cover could go somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000, perhaps. And then suppose he gets something for the stage presence of Eddie and all that.
But it's more than that. You think about all the marketing material, all the T-shirts, whatever, all have that character on it.
Oh no,
it's for one single character.
Gold mine.
It's a gold mine.
Yeah, he did well with that.
Kind of like whoever the fool is who designed Elmo.
Poor Elmo. Poor Elmo. And you don't think it was Jim Henson? Like, did you just call Jim Henson a fool?
Jim Henson was probably dead by the time Elmo came along.
Now I got another nugget. So you can't just say things like that.
Well, so I've gotten a little flack about the Grover Elmo thing.
Have you?
A little bit. But I did a little bit more research.
Okay. All right.
Because to catch everybody up, I made a comment while we were sitting here in between kind of segments.
I think it was on episode 20 or 21. I think it was on the Paul Simon episode.
Yes, it was. It was on Graceland.
Yes.
Well, it was tagged at the end of Graceland.
Right.
But it was not an on-air necessarily supposed to be
We were talking back and forth, and it became an outtake that somebody decided to put on the back, to use.
Yes, Chauncey will be reprimanded for this.
I think he's already been reprimanded.
So, anyways, it showed up on there, and the basic comment.
So it was a hot mic comment.
Was a hot mic comment, and it was that I love Grover, and Grover got the short end of the deal when Elmo came along, and I've held it kind of against Elmo ever since, because I think Grover could have filled that role perfectly. You didn't need an Elmo.
Okay, before you go on, I did give you a chance to backpedal on this last show, and you doubled down on your hatred of Elmo. So is this where the backpedal happens?
No. So somebody told me to look at Grover, look at Grover and Elmo side by side, and note the eyes. And Grover has these innocent eyes, and set like you and me, kind of in the middle of your head.
Normal human eyes.
Right, looking lovingly,
monster eyes,
lovingly and innocently at the world around it.
Okay.
And Elmo,
you're talking about Grover.
Grover, the beloved Grover character that we all know and
go
love.
ahead.
Right? So he's got kind of a normal face set up for a human, looking at the world with that wonder and innocence that only Grover can bring you.
Oh, jeez.
And Elmo has his eyes on top of his head like an ambush predator, kind of like a crocodile would have. So he can lurk and look up and.
Okay.
So I think he ambushed and attacked Grover.
Because he's like a crocodile.
Right.
I have nothing for that.
So I didn't come up with this. I'm not taking credit for this, but I think
just asking the question.
I think
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just asking the possibility. Is Elmo a predator who attacked Grover and killed him for his own
his career,
to the advancement of his own?
Yeah, I'm just saying he's an ambush predator. He's designed like an ambush predator, built like an ambush predator, and clearly has taken that out on Grover. All right. So do you have anything else to clean up?
It's gonna take me a while to process that.
Yeah,
you had mentioned something in our Sister Hazel discussion. One of my favorite bands, who I love, and I'm
choking on that.
Yeah, I love them. They're a tremendous live band. I recommend everybody go see them. But you, in your wanton ways of using the truth, I don't know, to your as you seem fit.
You would claim truth.
Like you
using facts like they're accurate.
No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying kind of the opposite. Using the facts to suit your thoughts. You would call Sister Hazel a one-hit wonder.
Well, most of the internet does as well.
Okay, well, maybe we could be smarter than the internet. Maybe AI when it pops up. But so I'm asking though, okay, what is the definition of a one-hit wonder? Like for real. Okay, so does it have to be, say, a top 40 song? Could it be a top 100 song? Does it have to be on, like, the top 40 Billboard chart would be a hit, like, for sure. There's no denying if you put something on the top 40 Billboard chart, it's a hit. But there are also adult alternative charts. We don't, like, what you call a hit, like, if you went to the Billboard Top 40 now, there's probably 39 songs on it that you've never heard of and probably don't even listen to because, it's a certain genre, area of music that probably doesn't appeal to us that often. So what makes a hit? Like, if you're going to call something a one-hit wonder, just because the internet says it's a one-hit wonder.
So are you going to reference, like, some, like,
I'm asking
on
you
the
a
Silver
question.
Oldies top 500?
I'm asking you a question.
They put a song up there once.
I would like you to define your term. So that in the future, because there's one-hit wonders, I'm sure we'll do a show down the road, perhaps a 45 or two, on one-hit wonders. They're a thing. One-hit wonders are real.
No, well, I think we could do a. So I would even venture out on a limb and say somebody like.
The answer's a number, or a chart.
Well, so something like oh no, I can't think of the song. There's a classic like a one-hit wonder song.
It's not like Brandy.
Brandy, right?
Like that's by
Brandy.
Looking Glass.
Looking Glass, right? I mean, that's kind of the classic example of one-hit wonder.
And they had one song, and you've never heard from them again.
Never heard anything about that. But I would also say like Don McLean is probably a one-hit wonder. He had American Pie.
Okay, Vincent didn't.
He had. I don't know if Vincent charted. I don't know
think Vincent charted?
I mean, he has other good songs. The
album's solid.
Yeah, it's a solid album. But I wouldn't do it on our show because it's a one-song album. He's kind of a one-hit wonder. I mean, you're going to see that.
All right,
you're going to see him.
Yeah.
To hear him play American Pie.
Okay, that's fine.
The other stuff you're going to politely clap to. Sister Hazel's
okay,
an entire show.
Stop.
Of
you haven't answered my question.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
What define a one? You've said this is a one-hit wonder.
I would say if it hits the top 50 on Billboard, it's probably
well. There's again multiple Billboard charts. Okay, so clearly you're not going to commit an answer to this because it doesn't suit you, and because you
just threw that at me.
No, I think it's a very simple. No, I know. I didn't.
Your
prep
eyes
you
should
for
be on
it.
top of your head. You're kind of an ambush predator when it comes
what is
to
a
stuff
one-hit
like
wonder? You like to babble on about what one-hit wonders on. Oh, this is a one-hit wonder. It's a one.
It is.
What is a one-hit wonder?
I just told you.
You did. You said, well, sure. Looking Glass, Brandy, Looking Glass is a one-hit wonder.
Top 100.
Okay. Sister Hazel, 18 singles from 1970 to 2023. 7 appeared on Billboard's top 40 adult pop charts, 3 on the main charts, including top 40, All For You. Okay? You had All For You in 1997, Happy in 1998. It was a US 73 top 100. Adult 27 chart. You had Change Your Mind in 2000, a US 59. Champagne High 2001. Your Mistake 2002, Life Got in the Way 2003, and Mandolin Moon, which I actually don't know the song, but it was recorded along with Sean Mullins, who's one of my favorite guys from back in the day, in 2006. All of these charted. Several of them have been used in movies and TV shows. They have, and I think previously I said they had 8 charting albums consecutively earlier on. So either way, despite the fact that you don't want to answer the question and just want to slander, I hope their lawyers aren't listening to this show. Sister Hazel, they are not a one-hit wonder, and even if they were, it's one more than the no-hit wonder Sheepdogs that you champion so hardly.
I brought them up. I thought they were an interesting band. I thought they were something you would enjoy, and I left it there, and you blew a gasket on the show over Sheepdogs. And now,
what episode would you need to go back to hear that gasket?
And then you forced the audience then to listen to a tirade now twice on Sister Hazel, who is they're great. You want to go see? You want to go sit on a Friday afternoon with your bowl of chips on your belly and slightly not off, stretched out on a lawn chair in a field somewhere, listening to some music. They're a great band to do it with. And
I will be seeing them at their House of Blues Christmas show. Their sold-out House of Blues Christmas show coming up this December. Do we have time?
Selling out the House of Blues. Oof.
Every year.
Woof, woof.
2 shows.
Woof.
How many of the Sheepdogs sold out?
I don't know. Again,
0.
I found a new band, was trying to share it with my friend.
All I'm saying is when you call up something a one-hit wonder, there should be some truth behind it. Do we have time for anything else? I have a couple other things. Or we can move on. I can save it for next time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you have something interesting that maybe it will calm your nerves a little before we get into the main show, because you seem to be slightly wound up here.
Because you're a fibber. I'd mentioned the Beatles anthology last show, Anthology 4 coming out, and it's sort of like at this recording of our show, it's brand new. Like they're just talking about it. But the Beatles previously had 3 anthology albums. They're releasing a 4th It has remixes of Free as a Bird and Real Love on it, plus
Yep.
11 new outtakes or whatever rarities. And I'd mentioned last show that the remix of Free as a Bird is spectacular. It sounds completely different. It sounds like a it sounds like a studio recording compared to the previous version. It sounded a bit like a demo. So
Okay.
they've cleaned it up even more. But Apple TV on November 26th will be releasing a 9-part documentary on this, and all the other anthologies have been remastered 1, 2, and 3. It's tons of rarities and studio outtakes, so I'm looking forward to that. It could be who knows when it's how close we could be seeing this tomorrow, I suppose. But November 26th, the Beatles Anthology 4 will be dropping on Apple TV.
No, they're approaching Neil Young level of
They're-
releasing music.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
always seem to have something new and interesting even when they do it. Somehow they find video that you haven't seen before, and I'm always interested in it. I am a Beatle maniac. I'll admit, and there hasn't been anything like I enjoy all of it. So
I I've obviously the Beatles have their place in the universe, and I
one-hit wonders, are they? Ever since I Want to Hold Your Hand, have they?
even you shouldn't stoop so low as to try and say Sister Hazel in the same breath with the Beatles. So, but it's I mean I thought kind of some of their documentaries are interesting. When they were doing the whole Let It Be.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting to actually see them creating the songs.
Yes.
And you kept wanting to go as they're starting to like play a little rip from something. You're going, that's the one. Keep that one.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Coach them along.
But
yeah.
I think one's enough for me.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by what you said, the creation of the music and all that. But I think this will have new information. You know what I mean? And I think it's my assumption is it like the anthologies themselves date all the way back to I think '63 to some of their earliest recordings. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, awesome. We'll leave that part there for a moment. We do have a couple of big albums to kind of work our way through today. So we'll do that in a moment. But kind of tying both albums really into a conversation we had very early on when we started the podcast. I had sort of asked the question once of when does a band stop being a band? How many people does a band have to lose before they're no longer who they are? And the example came up of like AC/DC had lost quite a few.
Well, they lost.
They lost Bon Scott.
Bon Scott and Bryan Johnson replaced him very effectively.
Very effectively, and they just kept rolling.
Yeah.
But this is interesting because with like Genesis, and Marillion,
yes,
you were talking about bands who lost their kind of vocal definition. Their the voice that sort of made them who they are.
Right. I can actually argue that in one case, but go ahead. I'll let you.
And Genesis seems to, at least have been early on, been more collaborative than The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was, but I'm sure we'll get there at some point.
Right. Are you saying like an ego trip?
No, I think Peter Gabriel had a vision for what that album Lamb Lies Down on Broadway was, and so he wrote all the lyrics, which was different than Genesis had in previous albums. That's all I'm saying there.
Gotcha.
But when he left, you still had a bunch of phenomenal musicians and songwriters, lyricists, who just kind of kept rolling.
Yes.
And we're going to talk soon about what came out of that. But, Iron Maiden, we talked about last week, when Bruce Dickinson left, he was replaced and they kind of kept rolling.
Yeah, I don't think you could replace Bruce Dickinson. And even Bruce Dickinson replaced Paul D'Anno earlier. There was an earlier iteration of Iron Maiden, but to me, Iron Maiden is only Bruce Dickinson.
So then is Marillion...
Yeah. Okay.
So,
to me,
yeah,
because once Fish left, I lost interest completely, and I knew this was going to kind of come up. I've never listened to the newer version of Marillion, and I kind of debated, well, maybe I should listen to it for the show, and then I ended up with, no, I'm not going to, because it's Fish. But at some point, I will probably just for my own curiosity listen to the next iteration of Marillion, which was very popular. They went on to be very popular.
They're still rolling, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've never...
Well, in England.
In England.
You know, this is maybe the only album that really crossed over the pond.
Uh-huh.
But other kind of interesting bands is like, well, Queen and Freddie Mercury.
So, yeah, well, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think they, you know, and this was a point that I knew I was out on a limb for when I said it the second or third show.
Uh-huh.
But I think Queen, even though they had, you know, Brian May still in the band or whatever, they kind of became a tribute album, a tribute band to themselves when they replaced Freddie Mercury with Adam Lambert.
Yeah, I think that's, well, okay. I don't know that I can debate that completely, but so first of all, I did see Adam Lambert live with Queen and enjoyed it tremendously,
Sure.
but it wasn't Freddie Mercury. So I think if you want to continue this debate, like what is a band and what's, you know, when does a band stop being a band? To me, I think the answer involves original music. So if Adam Lambert version of Queen had released 2 or 3 kind of successful albums of original material, then I think the band lives.
Same with Journey, then?
Yeah, I would say so.
So once Steve
Perry
left,
and I don't.
Again, I think they just became a tribute band to Journey.
Yeah, did they release any new material with the new singer though? I don't know. I'm not the biggest Journey fan.
So that's very different than like AC/DC.
I would say so. I think
released classics.
Right.
You know?
No. AC/DC didn't skip a beat. Amazingly, you know.
Right.
They kept on. So I think it's like that's a line of delineation for me. I also think but I'm going to turn let's look at it from another point of view. So if you're watching Queen with Adam Lambert and John Deacon is there playing bass and they sing Another One Bites the Dust, I mean, that's a John Deacon song that he performed on, and so did the other guys on stage. So the entire Queen band is actually there just without their frontman. So there's, some of this, so they're singing songs that they wrote and recorded. You have, so in that case, you know what I'm saying? So I know, it's a question. I think if you're recording your own material, can you cover yourself?
That's really the question,
right?
So I think there's three categories you can put these into, and it's bands that sort of have become cover bands for themselves.
Okay.
And I would say Queen, Journey falls into that category.
Okay.
Maybe Black Sabbath, once Ozzy left, did they do anything else?
They did.
Did they create good stuff?
Well, that's a different question.
Yeah. And then you have bands like, Pink Floyd, who lost Syd Barrett, who was sort of the leader of the band.
And then became a completely different band.
And then
became super successful.
And then lost Roger Waters.
Right, and
they became,
to me, Roger Waters was Pink Floyd. Like, so even when they split, if I had an option, we saw the David Gilmour-led Pink Floyd, who had the name Pink Floyd.
And they released albums. They released new music. And they had
Right.
minor hits, anyways.
Yeah, no, they had hits.
So
As did Roger Waters, but Roger Waters was always at
Sure.
that split. I was the Roger Waters guy.
all right. So you have these bands that morph into kind of almost tribute bands themselves. You have bands that successfully have adapted,
Yeah,
changed, like Genesis,
yeah.
like Pink
Chicago,
Floyd.
Terry lost Terry Kath and was
Yeah.
replaced by Peter Cetera
Yeah.
and became Next Level.
And then you have something in the middle, like Van Halen.
Well, why is it in the middle? Because I would, if I'm assuming you're going to say, well, go ahead. I'm going to let you.
So you have the David Lee Roth version when they became,
Which was popular.
right. I mean, 1984. I mean, that was just a massive MTV
Sure.
album.
Yeah.
And then David Lee Roth left the band or pushed off, whatever.
Yeah, right.
And they replaced him with Sammy Hagar, who changed the sound of the band.
Right.
But they kept rolling.
4 #1 albums with Sammy
Yeah.
Hagar.
Yeah. So so I would put that more into the category with AC/DC.
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I mean they had a different iteration of the band, and of course there was a popularity thing. There were people who were Sammy Hagar fans who were okay with it, and there were people that
Yeah.
didn't want to have anything to do with it. Which is the same thing I was going to say with Black Sabbath. When Ozzy left, there's a lot of people that believe Black Sabbath ended when Ozzy left.
Sure.
And then I believe Dio took over, Ronnie,
right,
right?
yeah.
And there's some backlash there, but also they did put out new albums and release new material, so they did move forward with different vocalists. If you want to throw one more in a little more modern day situation, you have Emily Armstrong replacing Chester Bennington in Linkin Park.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of going on right
Yeah.
now, and you're kind of seeing
Yeah.
the same thing. There's some people like it. It's definitely getting mixed reviews. There are people who believe the only Linkin Park is Chester Bennington's version of Linkin Park. So these things happen.
She has an interesting range that she can cover some of his songs,
Right.
or the way he sang them. And there's other bands that just kind of blew up and were gone. I mean, once somebody died or somebody left, Led Zeppelin,
Right, and I
John
think that
Bonham,
right.
Jim Morrison, The Doors.
Well, that's not true. The Doors continued without Jim Morrison.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, if you're just factually, but they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
The Led Zeppelin, on the other
Well,
hand,
so did Leonard Skinner, but come on.
Led Zeppelin had decided there was no Led Zeppelin without John Bonham. So that took
that's
the
like
whole
Nirvana.
right. So they took, they made that decision and went their own ways, which is also fine.
Yeah, no, I get it, and and then and then we can just the last one to kind of well, I guess two more that are kind of interesting is the original lead singer or the main person behind Fleetwood Mac was Peter Green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were a blues band before they were big.
Big, yeah.
So yeah, there was definitely a different iteration. The Rumors version of Fleetwood Mac, much different from the original Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks changed
Yes.
music probably.
Yeah.
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 Well, and then the last one that would be Joy Division.
Which
when
they
Ian
ended
Curtis-
and then
yeah.
became something different.
Well, they kept going. They just changed their name because they didn't have Ian Curtis anymore.
Right.
And they became New Order and
Right. So yeah.
But I mean, I think Doors would fall more into the category of like Big Brother and the Holding Company. That tried, but they just weren't anything without their main focal point.
Yeah, I mean Jim Morrison was such a magnetic, charismatic performer.
As was Janis.
Yeah, right.
So without them, they aren't anything.
Right.
Do you have any other ones? Because I'm waiting for you to mention one.
Bands that
the lead
lost
singer
their-
left and they kind of either fell apart or became something.
I
something
don't. So which
new.
one do you think and what
Well,
am
I was
forgetting?
thinking Free.
No, I don't know.
Well, because the two kind of remaining lead guys went on to become Bad Company.
Right.
You know, the Hall of Fame Bad Company.
Okay.
You know, I was waiting
So
for you
Paul Rogers, and I'm not sure who. Paul
Simon
Rogers.
Kirk.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I mean, no,
Right.
not as deep into Bad Company as you
Well,
might think I am.
Well, you
I
were
just think-
championing them as
I think
Hall
they're.
of Fame
I
material.
do think they're a Hall of Famer. Since we're talking about Hall of Famers, and apparently this segment's going to go on forever.
Yep.
Phil Collins, not in the Hall of Fame as a solo act. So Genesis is a Hall of Fame band.
Better hope none of the judges are ever drowning.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Genesis, he's a member of the Hall of Fame with Genesis, as are all the members of Genesis. Peter Gabriel, a two-time Hall of Famer, as a soloist and as a member of Genesis, but not Phil Collins. And I'm going to say ridiculous that he's not in there as a solo act.
Yeah. No, I won't argue with that.
Okay.
All right, since we're starting to talk about Genesis, let's drop the needle.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rock. In the red corner, an album that needs no introduction. From Surrey, England, this unranked contender is a prog rock masterpiece coming in at number 31 in the US and number 3 on the UK charts. It's a gold record waxed in 1976 by the legendary Hall of Fame band Genesis. This is Trick of the Tail. And in the blue corner, two fat guys. This is Two Fat Guys and an album.
So this is the album that got me kind of hooked on Genesis, and so this would have been 1976, right?
Yes, that's when the album came out.
Right. Well, so 1976. So I probably caught up to it, you know, a few years later, and it led me forward and backwards, and you know, through the Genesis kind of sequences, and you know, Genesis is one of those bands that there's probably 3 iterations, if not more.
Yes, for sure.
You know, there's the Peter Gabriel, there's this.
Right, and I would go the actually the first 2 albums are probably their emerging Genesis. You know,
The Genesis of Genesis.
The Genesis of Genesis. Yes, exactly.
No.
And so they had from Genesis to Rev. Do you believe this band goes all the way back to 1969?
Yeah.
From Genesis to Revelation, 1969, and then Trespass, 1970. And I like Trespass a lot. We've debated that.
Yeah.
And then I think they really emerged as the Peter Gabriel Genesis in 71 when they started up with Nursery Crime. And that ended with Lamb Lies Down on Broadway in 74.
And when did Selling England by the Pound come out?
73.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before Lamb. And then that's when, as you mentioned, Peter Gabriel left the band. And this is the first Phil Collins fronted version of the band in 1976. And this iteration to me goes until Duke 1980.
And then
he took it in a completely different
let's be a pop
direction, and with Abacabin forward with 1981 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more albums in the pop.
You know, I think I've seen them twice. So this is one of the few bands that my wife and I agree on.
Yeah, mine too.
And so I've seen them a couple of times with my wife.
Right.
But I'm still going there hoping they're playing some of the old stuff that she would have no idea about.
For sure. Yeah, my first Genesis is my first stadium concert. Also with my future wife to be. So, and I looked it up because I'd trying to remember. It was 1981 at the Rosemont Horizon. It was the Abacab tour.
Sure.
But they did play a lot of the old stuff. Which was awesome because I wasn't so much into the Abacab style of Genesis. Daryl Sturmer was on bass, and the only reason I bring that up is he was a cousin of a friend of mine who's unfortunately not with us anymore, but he would have been a friend of the show, And then Chester Thompson was playing drums at the time. And I did find a soundboard recording of this show on YouTube, which I'll link in the comments if you'd like to hear it. But
So I was kind of intrigued to hear that that when they toured with Trick of the Tail, Bill Bruford was on
yes,
drums.
right.
Yeah.
And that was before my time. I did not see the Bill Bruford.
We would have been 10 or 11 or something during.
Right, and I came.
I would have been 10. You would have been probably 11.
And one day, I guess we'll have to explain that joke.
He's older.
I was more of a at this time. I had the Peter Gabriel Genesis was what I knew, and I knew Peter Gabriel. Perhaps as a solo act, like Salisbury Hill, maybe.
Yep.
You know,
Shock the Monkey.
Shock the Monkey came later. So at this time, I was probably where Peter Gabriel is a solo artist, and then went backward. And I like Peter Gabriel a great deal.
Yep.
Went backwards into the catalog to get the early Genesis. And so for me, Trick of the Tail and the Phil Collins-led Genesis is the abomination, so to speak. Although I like it, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm just putting in the terms that we talked about.
Right. No, I really this was my Genesis.
Right.
And then it was through like you and other friends of the show that kind of led me deeper into Lamb and the Supper's Ready.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that was farther down, but this is kind of where I begin, and I adore this album, and it was fun to listen to some of these songs that I hadn't played the whole album straight through in a while.
Right.
I have a couple of these that I've listened to periodically.
But
it was fun to hear the whole thing.
No, I have to agree. This and Marillion as well coming up.
Yeah.
It was a warm blanket. It was a very cozy listen. Brought back a lot of good feelings.
Yeah, it was
a lot of memories
exciting.
on this.
So why don't we? So we've kind of established that Peter Gabriel is gone.
Yes, he is.
It was interesting. I don't know if you have any notes on this, but it was interesting. Kind of and I just glossed through it. I didn't spend a lot of time. Like why he left. I just thought it was artistic. I had heard something along the way that he thought he was outgrew. Was done. Lamb was so big, it said everything he wanted to say, and it was just time to move on. And that really wasn't.
I don't have the specifics of it. I did think it was something like that. I think Peter Gabriel was ready for a solo career, but if you know something else.
Well, he had just gone through, his wife and him had just had a baby daughter, I believe.
Okay.
It was a very difficult pregnancy delivery, and that caused a lot of stress as he's trying to tour and create.
Right.
So he just wanted to step back and focus on his family a little more, and the band wasn't quite.
They wanted to move forward without him.
Well, they wanted to.
They wanted to keep him.
Well, yes, but they wanted to focus still on their careers.
Yes. Okay.
Well, he was more kind of family.
Making a family decision.
Yeah. So it just grown to where this was more, the family side and what was going on in his life was more important than being the rock star.
Okay. And
so he decided to step back, which as a parent and a husband, I get that.
Yeah, you can appreciate that.
I don't know.
Having said that, he did make immediately start making solo albums for the most part.
Which I'm assuming is easier for him to control his schedule, his time. And
True.
Whatever.
Yeah, you're not hey, we're going to go on the road now. Right. No, you have control.
Yeah.
Over your schedule and what you do. So that is true.
So I give it a little more. I give him a little more leeway for that.
Okay.
So him having departed here, and let's leave Peter Gabriel aside for a second.
We'll try.
And dive into the 4 remaining band members.
Yeah, you have Phil Collins, vocalist for the first time, and drummer. So he's the studio drummer on the album, but as we mentioned on tour, he has to step out in front of the band now. So he did play drums occasionally when he wasn't singing, like during instrumental parts. He would do drum battles with whoever was there. And he is I have this. So now this is where I have to shuffle papers because.
For those listening and not watching,
there were
stack
so
of
many
paper.
things. Phil 24, Rolling Stone, 43rd ranked drummer on Rolling Stone. So monster drummer,
And
for sure. And Bill Bruford.
You agree with that?
I'd have to look and see who's 42 and 44. I agree that he's one of the greatest drummers of all time.
Right.
So he definitely belongs on the list, and I think 43 is probably could be higher ranked. I think Bill Bruford was concerned about joining Genesis because he didn't think he could play like Phil. I think he was very intimidated by having to take his place. And so Phil Collins is the real deal on drums. And something I brought up a few earlier on the podcast, there's a documentary on Phil Collins on the YouTube channel Drumeo, called Drummer First, and that's because he still considers himself a drummer.
Sure.
And drummer first, and then he became a vocalist. And then when he took over the vocals, he was criticized for sounding too much like Peter Gabriel. In fact, did you know he sang this? This was not the first time he sang lead vocals on a Genesis song. He had actually sung lead vocals earlier. So For Absent Friends is the first time he actually sang lead. And I think that's off of Nursery Crime. And I'd listened to that album a million times and never once thought there was a different person singing.
Yeah.
So they do have similar voices. And then when Peter Gabriel broke out in his solo career, he was criticized for sounding too much like Phil Collins.
Of course.
So it's kind of
a couple of English guys with similar voices.
Similar voices. He fit in really well. When they were not planning, like Phil Collins was going to be the drummer. They were auditioning different vocalists at the time.
Lot of them, yeah.
A lot of them. And I think the song Squonk on this album, when he sang that, they just said, you have to be the singer. And I think that's kind of how that happened.
All right, so that's Phil.
That's Phil. Bill Bruford, the touring drummer at this time.
Yeah.
So he's not a member of the band, but if you went to see, as you said already, Trick of the Tail, you saw Bill Bruford playing
Who
drums.
we had already talked about with King Crimson.
Yes. Yeah, also one of the greatest drummers of all time.
Right, he was with Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
for
he
some
was
of
with Yes.
the best albums of Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, monster drummer. Dr. Bill Bruford now, I believe.
Yeah.
The thinking doctor, not a medical doctor.
Yeah, not to kind of help you.
Yeah. Steve Hackett, guitarist, who you would not go see because you thought he was not a member of the band or something silly like that.
None of that's true.
The one of the innovators of tapping on the guitar. And do you know what tapping is?
No, you're going to have to do more there.
Okay. So tapping, well...
Or let's say that some of the audience members would not know what that was.
Well, tapping is, typically when you play guitar, you think of strumming a guitar or using a pick to pick individual notes out, right?
Glad I didn't say plucking.
Plucking would not be incorrect.
Oh,
you could pluck the strings of a guitar.
See?
Yeah, that's not... Yeah, it's fine. You can pluck a guitar. So you can strum a guitar and pluck a guitar. How's that?
Nice.
Okay, tapping is another way of playing that Eddie Van Halen actually really popularized. And that's where you would see a guitarist with both hands maybe on the neck of the guitar pressing down the strings on the neck of the guitar, on the fretboard.
Yeah.
And creating sound that way.
Oh, sure, Eddie.
Eddie Van Halen. So that's tapping.
But that's different from what, like, Tony Levin does on the stick.
Well, no, he does tap on the stick as well. Well, but Tony Levin came after this. So Steve Hackett, credited with, and again, on Nursery Crime, I believe in 1971, is where you'll hear him tapping. Now, interestingly, there's a whole thing about tapping, because Eddie Van Halen really gets the majority of the popular credit for inventing it. There's another great YouTube thing that somebody put together on the history of tapping. I'll link it in the YouTube. But it was like 50 guitarists who tapped before Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
And there is someone, the earliest known video is from 1965, and it's of an Italian classical guitarist tapping. But Steve Hackett is the first to be...
Well, why do they call it tapping?
Because you're literally tapping the strings of the guitar. So instead of strumming them or plucking them, you're pressing them down.
So this could only be done on an electric guitar?
Well, it needs to be amplified. So probably, yeah. I mean, it could be an acoustic guitar, I suppose, but it has to create sound. If you tapped on a classical guitar, you'd be able to hear it. You could do it on a regular acoustic guitar, but it would have to be, I suppose, mic'd to really come off.
Gotcha.
Stanley Jordan, another guitarist, the inventor of the Apple welcome tone way back in the days, had a good run for a while there as a popular guitarist. We saw him live. He's another person that tapped. Basically, you're playing the guitar with two hands, similar to how you might play a piano. Where you're using all of your fingers. So it allows you to, not only does it create a different sound, but it allows you to create different, playing faster and just different, you're using all 10 fingers basically to play the guitar.
I'm pretty sure we can all visualize Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, right. So that's what it is.
All right.
And I would also give Steve Hackett credit for being almost Robert Fripp-like, in that when I did see him live and you didn't, he was playing a lot of things, even from like this album, from these earlier Genesis albums, that I thought were keyboards that weren't. They were guitar. He was playing these sounds on guitar. So using those sort of guitar synthesized pedal effects to create really interesting sounds. Rolling Stone does give him credit. He's 216 on Rolling Stone's 250 top guitarist.
Speaking of synthesizers and keyboards.
Yeah, you have Tony Banks.
Yeah, the great Tony Banks.
The great Tony Banks. I don't have anything to say about him.
Yeah.
He does. I will say his keyboard playing they're all super skillful musicians. He's a wonderful musician. And the sound of Genesis, the sounds that he uses are, the sound of a Tony Banks keyboard is legendary. Yeah. And people who, aspire to be prog rockers go straight to those sounds.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was called, but back in the day, I had a Tony Banks solo album.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I do too.
Yeah. Was a fan. He had a couple of good songs on that.
Yeah.
I'll have to look.
Not a Steve Hackett one?
No, I have no Steve Hackett solo
okay.
album.
And then Mike Rutherford on bass, who honestly I thought he was. You are a fan?
I am a fan of Mike.
Yeah, Mike Rutherford's wonderful. He
Mike and the Mechanics.
I was going to say had a solo outing as Mike.
That's a good album.
It is a very good album. Yeah, I'm surprised you think it's a good album. It's a little poppy, but
yeah.
But I like it. It's it's got a certain cheesiness that you tend to turn your nose up at when I offer it out.
Yeah, no, I there's a couple of really good songs on there which I can't think of off the top of my head. One of them is actually
it's about his father. Say it loud, say it clear.
One of them's actually on my rotation all the time.
Okay.
And it's a song that my wife and I enjoy together.
Yeah, he does have a couple. He did have some hits on his own.
He wasn't singing on those. He was just right. Somebody else sang on Mike and the Mechanics.
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll have to look. That's a nugget.
Nugget
that, baby. Mike and the Mechanics.
Yep.
Might not be a bad secondary album, one of these shows.
Yeah, it's a very nice album.
Yeah.
From back in the day.
Yeah.
And then I think that's the band.
All right. Well, that's good because we probably should talk about an album.
Okay.
All right.
How about the album cover? It's a fantastic album cover.
It is.
Yeah, Hipgnosis is involved in the design of that. And we talked to them before because they were one of the legendary album cover designers.
Yeah.
Another great documentary if you want to look it up. They did virtually all the British albums from like 69 to right about now. And fascinating story.
So the album itself, Trick of the Tail, 1976,
Right.
recorded in 75.
Yeah.
Is only 8 songs, so it's right there in your wheelhouse for your attention span.
Well, they're long. They're really
They are.
long.
You know,
songs.
speaking of that, I've listened to Ripple
Yeah.
a million times.
Yes.
Love the song. You'd play it right now. I would sit back and
Yes.
tap my toe and listen to it.
Yep.
Had never thought it was 8 minutes long.
It just goes by in a flash.
I mean, it's just such an enjoyable piece of music that I never quite grasped how long it was.
Right.
And really, a bunch of these I've never paid attention.
And
There is no song. Trick of the Tail, the song itself is 4.5 minutes, and that's by far the shortest song on there by at least a minute and a half.
Yeah, I guess it's like the radio song. Ripples
It wasn't. But
ended
yeah.
up. Ripples
Yeah.
ended up on like the album rock stations where they weren't
Yeah.
so concerned about playing 2.5
Yeah,
minute
it's-
songs. I don't know that it chart. Like that's one of the things that slipped through my fingers this year is I don't think any were official singles that charted in any way. But
But the album itself
well, the album
charted both.
in the U.S. and the U.K. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a number 3 in the U.K. and a 31 in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a time of album rock.
Sure.
Perhaps Van Morrison very important in the development of album rock. These extended play
Yeah, this
things
is
and
kind of branch.
and so
between
you
album
have
rock and
it's and so you have these longer songs. You didn't have these aren't hit factory songs.
Right.
There's it's a no hit album. I know how important that is to you, unfortunately. And but when you were listening to the album rock stations back in the day, they would Genesis would get airplay because they weren't trying to promote that type of music. They were looking for something different.
So it opens hot and heavy here with Dance on a Volcano.
Yeah.
Um,
There is a theory. I know we're not going to talk about Peter Gabriel anymore, but there is a fan theory that this whole album is a reaction to Peter Gabriel leaving. I don't think I take it that far,
No.
but I do think you could listen to Dance on a Volcano, which is literally about dancing on a volcano and the dangers inherent in doing such a thing, and think of that as an analogy of a band going forward without their very popular lead singer, and that perhaps Genesis is in fact dancing on a volcano by going forward with this. So I do lend some credibility to that theory.
Interesting. I took it more of tied into a lot of their older albums, really, with the kind of the literary themes.
Yes.
A lot of these and kind of that storytelling that you saw in some of the early Genesis stuff.
Right, and they continue that throughout the album. It's
Yeah, well, yeah.
all this. It's all
It's
storytelling, and
So
there are
I
many
didn't think it
literary-
was that much of a.
But you talked about I think more to the psychology of the band at the time is
Sure.
what I think of.
And
But
that's fair.
yeah,
Okay.
and I cannot. Nobody's ever said those words. So it's more of a fan theory that I think could work.
So do you want to go song by song here? or
Well,
how
you
do
have
want
Entangled next. It's a
Entangled.
very slow, sort of dreamy
Yeah.
song. It's sort of like, is this real or a hallucination? Is there mental health issues? And then they have like a zinger at the end, where they cure you and then give you the bill for it. So the interesting thing about this song is the mellotron.
Okay.
Which is one of the more interesting instruments to me in the instrument universe. It's famously used on Strawberry Fields by the Beatles.
So why don't you tell everybody?
Yeah, the mellotron is
mellotron.
it's a keyboard instrument,
Mhm.
okay, like a piano. But the thing that creates the sound are tape loops. So there's actual physical tape inside the instrument that is activated when you press down the key of the
Yeah.
instrument, right? And it has different sounds to it.
We talk about this with King Crimson.
We
Sounds
talked
familiar?
about possibly. It's come up a couple times
Yeah.
because to me, it's one of the more fascinating instruments. It's like one of the, first synthesizer type instruments where you create different sounds. And it in this case, it's the sound of a choir. So typically it has, the mellotron would have tape of a flute, which is what's used on Strawberry Fields. Also tape of like a choir, people singing, and then strings like violins and such like. And so you can adjust to what tapes you want to play, what sound do you want. But in this case, they've actually intentionally physically damaged the tape to get even a more distorted, odder sound. So it's a
Very analog.
very analog, really super interesting. But the sound, if you're wondering about like, oh, what's that sound that's different from anything I've ever heard, it's a mellotron.
Nice.
Yeah, cool song. Squonk,
Yeah.
great song.
I was gonna say this is my favorite, but as I'm like reading the last, I'm like, that's
There are other.
it's way up there.
It's way, way, way up on there on the top.
Yeah.
Strangely inspired by Led Zeppelin's Kashmir, which I have a hard time drawing a parallel to, but
So the musically, yeah. No, musically, I think Phil Collins described this as their Led Zeppelin moment.
yeah, maybe they just meant for it to be their biggest, most epic song.
Yeah. So kind of like some soaring kind of sound.
Right.
But the story itself, I think,
fascinating.
It is. It's again literary. It's a mythology.
Right. So a squonk is a mythological character from Pennsylvania. Yeah, created, and I one of the things I didn't know was the author of it, but it was created by an author in the early 1900s, like 1910. I don't know if you happen to have the guy's name in front of you. And it's about a mythological creature who's unattractive.
Yeah.
Rare, who cries all the time. A very unhappy mythological creature.
Yeah.
And the tears actually make, because it's crying all the time, it leaves a trail of tears wherever it goes, which makes it very easy to hunt.
Yeah.
And so then you have the hunter who captures it, and when it is captured, it dissolves into a pool of tears.
Yeah.
And so the hunter,
all you're left with is
so this person is hunted, the squonk, and it's a really fascinating, like there's ideas here to me, like beyond that, like, hunting being like a bully, like are they picking on this creature because it's so ugly and unattractive? Because you can't have a squonk sandwich at the end of the day, because it's gone. And well, I'm just throwing it out there.
Wow.
Like, why would you bother hunting that creature? But also how
well, unless you're like an ambush predator and you can eat it before it has a chance to dissolve.
Hope possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I don't
if your
know.
eyes are on top of your head.
It's always a thing. I don't know if Elmo's ever been caught hunting squonk. But also it makes me think like this constant sadness is what results in it being so easily captured, and so so I'm not into victim shaming so much, but I think there's a part of the tale is about just being unhappy all the time and crying all the time, and how it is could become self-fulfilling and also not the best idea.
But you can't contain it either. You can't hold that sadness, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think that it's.
But musically, so that's an interesting, the lyrics, the story behind it, which is every song on this
well, that's
album.
the thing. You could dive into every single song and spend 20 minutes on every song.
But this is another like 6.5 minute song.
Yeah.
That is completely worth all 6.5 minutes.
No, I agree. And my criticism of longer songs that you allude to in longer albums are just because the interest of the music doesn't support the length of it. So I'm totally cool with this amazing 7-minute song or an amazing 8-minute song.
There's lots of examples of that out there, but this is just, again, it's just that it's kind of an arrangement masterpiece.
Yep.
So it's not just the lyrics; it's the music, it's the arrangements of the music, it's the interest of the different instruments.
Yeah.
It probably is their Zeppelin moment of just kind of
the
soaring beauty.
The marriage of music and lyrics is wonderful in this album.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Next we got.
I think you have Mad Moon, a quieter, softer,
Yeah.
also epic song.
Yeah.
It even has multiple sections, as like a faster section in it. About being trapped in a desert, I guess, surviving in a difficult situation. If you were trapped in a desert,
Yeah.
how do you survive? And then there's also elements in there about, the grass isn't always greener out there. Being grateful for what you have, even if it is a desert. And I think the person that ends up in the desert was striking out for something better and then ended up in a desert. And, so there's like these subtext to all these songs. There's a really great play on words in the lyric that you probably, unless you've read the lyric, you wouldn't probably catch it. But there's just a sentence in there: for a jail can give you a goal. And I guess as speaking it probably sounds okay. But the way that they spell it is sort of the medieval spelling of jail, Gaol. And so then goal is sort of an anagram of jail. So it's something that snuck in there that I noticed that I thought was worth a mention.
Okay.
But I love that. I love Madman.
No. So that's all right. We just ran through the first side. I mean, that's
it.
That's the beauty of this album, and they're all nothing you leave out there.
No, and then you're flipping the album over. To Robbery, Assault, and Battery.
Yeah.
I would, for me, probably my least favorite song on the album. I think this one was written by Phil Collins, actually. Whereas most of the other songs, we didn't really mention it, but or Tony Banks maybe is the primary lyricist, but there is a lot of collaboration. So Steve Hackett, they are all involved with the writing.
Mm-hmm. So this is Banks and Collins.
So this is Banks and Collins.
Yeah.
So to me, and it's still a favorite. Like it's not gonna affect the status of the album. When we talk about it a little bit later. But it's probably they're still my least favorite. The song has 2 felony murders in it. It's a little. It's sort of a wink and a nod, tongue in cheek ish type of song with 2 felony murders. So I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me.
So interestingly enough, I think this is they talk about it as where during the live shows, Phil Collins had to use an accent.
Yes, he used like a Cockney accent to sing.
So he sort of kind of played around and really kind of, this is where the performance of this song is where he became the true frontman.
Oh, all right.
Because he had to be an actor.
Right. And he had an acting background.
Which is very Genesis.
Right.
You think of all
the theatricalness.
Everything the previous lead singer used to do, on
right,
stage.
With costumes, and
right.
We're not going to say his name.
He who shall not be named.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But the previous singer was very theatrical.
Right. So this is kind of where he came into his own as the front man while performing this song. I like it. I wouldn't. I think you're being a little harsh on it. I think there's a lot of literary here as well.
Yeah,
I think this is from the Artful Dodger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Ripples, which you talked about before, which is probably the biggest hit off the album. Blue Girls. So the opening line references Blue Girls. In the song itself, I think it's just about aging, and your ripples are looking into a pool of water and seeing your reflection, and the message is kind of you'll never be as young or as good looking as you are right now, because you're I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
But
yes.
the term Blue Girls is one of the interpretations, which I think is probably correct, is a reference to a poem by John Crow Ransom.
Mm-hmm.
And blue girls in this poem are young girls whose focus is on being beautiful. But there's 3 lessons in the poem. 1 is that beauty fades. 2 is use your beauty while you have it. So enjoy it while you can, right?
Yeah.
And 3, have something in life besides beauty, so you are not left with it when when it fades. You are not left with nothing when it fades. So I think that's pretty cool. And it doesn't all
Yeah.
come out in the song, but the original poem has some ideas. It's also a lovely song on its own.
It is, and like I said, you can play it anytime you want to. I will happily listen to it.
Yep.
I had no idea how long it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then going to A Trick of the Tail, the title song about a creature with a horn and tail who is the protagonist in the song.
Yeah.
So, again, sort of continuing with the squonk theme, I think, of having an outcast creature who, humans would consider odd. But this creature claims to be from a city of gold, and
That lies in the deep
distance.
Yeah.
And kind of the conceit of humanity and thinking poorly of other creatures, perhaps, that could be magical in
Right.
themselves.
So I always heard this song as a creature from somebody from another place.
Yes. An unusual creature.
Unusual. Somebody who looked different.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Who came out and wasn't accepted because how he looked, how different he was.
Exactly.
Because he was from somewhere else.
Exactly.
And instead of being kind of celebrated, he was locked up.
Right.
For being different.
Exactly.
For looking different.
Yeah. No, that's
which really kind of ties to some of the things that go on at
every
any
day
point in society,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And was true in 1976 and is true today.
Yes.
Difference is not celebrated necessarily.
Yeah.
It's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is what it is. Am I wrong? Am I wrong to believe in who I am?
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong to act the way I feel?
Yeah.
And am I wrong to celebrate where I come from? Because I'm not accepted here.
Right.
And so to me that was Trick of the Tail.
No, I think you're dead on. Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
And it's a lesson for every era.
Yeah, and you do this is an album the music's wonderful. It's but the lyric, all the song you're gonna read the lyrics when you do this.
Yeah.
This was back in the day when you took out the album cover and you were following the lyrics very closely along with the music. And of course musically it still continues to be that prog rock sound. You still have very complicated music. You have really great solos on the instruments. There's some instrumental, like Los Endos is an instrumental at the end. You have multiple time signatures, and there's a lot of variety in the music itself. But so musically and lyrically, it's fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So this really kind of this conversation, I say, would surmise my love for this era of music. And even though I came to it later than it was released. So,
and so did I.
For me, I was listening to these kind of albums from maybe 79 to, into early college in the
right.
mid 80s or whatever. And if you think about that era, that is the era of glam rock and hair bands on MTV and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden you find these bands.
Right.
Both Marillion, this album we're going to talk about is 1985. This whole kind of prog stuff and the neo-prog stuff comes out, and you can go back and look at things like this and how deep, how literary, how interesting, what a point, I'm not just talking about,
it's not love songs or
laying across a car with my hair
Yeah.
blowing in the wind or partying all the time.
No, there's a lot of depth to
right.
this.
And this is where kind of my love for this music kind of comes from.
Right.
Is it's deeper. It has meaning. It educates while you listen to. It challenges your beliefs. It challenges the things and Trick of the Tail is a wonderful example of that.
Yeah, and that's why even when we talked about Iron Maiden, my comment was just that that wasn't my scene. This is my scene. I'm a
right. Well, but I mean, Iron Maiden had a lesson something to say as well. it was misunderstood.
Right, and I'm not. Yeah, I don't mean that as a criticism of Iron Maiden necessarily.
But
Just,
even Black Sabbath, the show before Black Sabbath.
no,
was
Black Sabbath. I thought
same thing.
misunderstood.
Correct.
Yeah.
So.
No, agreed. I think you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Right.
you speak.
More
we
passion
agree.
than I meant there.
No,
yes.
but I mean we.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, we agree on that. And
Yeah.
this.
He'll correct himself in later episodes.
No, I
All
won't.
right.
No,
All
I
right.
think this is a fantastic album.
And then the final song, right?
Yeah, we have Los Endos, which is an instrumental. So it does unify the album because it references Dance on a Volcano. It references Squonk in it. So it acts as sort of a outro or exit music to the album. It's a conclusion to the album.
It's oddly a song they played a lot in live performances.
Right.
I mean, even in current.
Yes.
Up till the end, they were still kind of playing the song a lot.
Yes. Yeah. It's really,
and do you want to touch on the where they do say a couple lines at the end?
go ahead with that because I didn't delve into that.
Yeah, it's very cool. So it is an instrumental song, but
there's some spoken word.
There's
at the
some
ending.
spoken word at the end, which is actually a couple lines from "Supper's Ready."
Oh, I didn't
which
even
is
catch
his,
that.
Yeah, which is his Phil Collins's nod to kind of the farewell or thank you, Peter Gabriel.
Right.
So it's a little tribute, the band tribute to Peter Gabriel, and the end of the Peter Gabriel era is the end, right? The end, and
Well,
and it
and I-
says that.
Yeah, and I should say they didn't. Well, and that probably feeds into this fan theory also that Peter Gabriel's presence is felt on this album, and also that they didn't break up on bad terms. Really, in fact, Phil Collins played drums on Peter Gabriel's third solo album for sure, and possibly even before that.
And one of them, I think Steve Hackett was like Peter Gabriel's best friend, and
Yeah, so
still is.
Right.
know.
So
Wasn't-
in that sense, all is well in the world of Genesis and Peter Gabriel.
So my last thing about this whole album is more of a personal reference between us.
All
Did
right.
you see or watch the official music video for Ripples?
Not.
Did you ever
not,
see it?
I'm sure I've seen it. I'm going to say yes. I've almost certainly seen it, but I can't pull it right now.
So it's primarily Phil Collins sitting on a stool singing.
Okay.
And, the other musicians are cut to, you see them playing or whatever.
Okay.
But it's primarily, just Phil Collins'
Face.
kind of close-up face and, down to kind of his midline or whatever.
Okay.
Just sitting there. And you know what he's wearing? Which I think
No.
this is, you're talking about an English musician
Right.
sitting there, and he's wearing a Minnesota North Stars jersey.
Oh, really?
He is. Go back and look at it.
I'll check it out. No, that's funny. I don't remember that,
Yeah,
but
it
that's
just-
worth taking a look at.
As I was kind of like listening, I like live music, so, kind of like just going back, and I don't recall ever seeing like them do the whole kind of album live or
Right.
whatever, or that tour.
Right.
So I was just looking for some live performances and came across the official video for
Yeah.
Ripples. Look it up on YouTube, and it's
Yeah, I think Chester Thompson, if you want to stick to hockey references, often wore a Boston Bruins jersey when he was playing.
Sure. All right. Classic album, landmark album.
Yeah, I think this is
perfect album.
I think it's a tricky one. First of all, it's a perfect album for me, and it exists as an album. So, I often talk about favorites and all that stuff. Being like, I don't know how many favorites that would make the favorite playlist. That just the way I set mine up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're all favorites. Like the album is solid. I loved listening to the album
It was fun to
during
do
this
again.
prep time. So it's a perfect album in that sense. Do you?
No, I'm not gonna argue with you
Yeah.
there at all. It was really kind of cool to go back and listen to
Yeah.
this whole thing again, and I listened to albums a couple of times before I start like even putting notes down. And,
Right.
And I was probably at like the fourth listen before I'm like, oh, I should.
Well,
really
that's the
write
problem.
something
That's,
down.
I told you how much difficulty I had
Yeah.
preparing for this show, because I did kind of go deep into the music,
It
like
was just-
deeper,
yeah.
maybe on a personal level. I don't know. And
Fun.
so Genesis is one of those bands that I think gets multiple landmark albums. This was only a gold record, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about also when Marillion comes up. But this is also the first post-Peter Gabriel album. It's the first Phil Collins album as a frontman. It does continue, the prog rock movement. It does possibly move a little bit into the popification of prog rock. It's definitely more accessible, I think, than the Peter Gabriel era.
It is.
Um,
Well, it's kind of snippets more than the
y-
these
Right.
epic kind of.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't suppers, right?
It's not Supper's Ready. So I think, but I think this is a landmark album.
Is this your favorite album of this iteration?
I like them all. I even like, and then there were three. The one I don't like so much is Duke.
Yeah,
and I
I'm
think
with
Duke
you.
gets a lot
Duke
of
is the
weaker of the one, but a lot
Yeah.
of people do like Duke. So I like this. I mean, man, you're really. I'll say yes, but I'm very uncomfortable with it. Like all
Well,
four albums. Like Wind in the Wuthering was there.
Wind and the Weathering. They
I-
also released the same year.
Yeah, which I love, and then
So-
there were three. I
Yeah.
really
All right.
like
Where
that
do you?
album. No, I know.
You're calling this a landmark album. Is this more of a landmark than the other two?
Do you want to call it a landmark era? Because like Genesis again can have multiple landmark albums. I do think like in the
Well, but I think
larger,
you got to pick one from each era.
right. This is yes. I'm going to say this is the landmark album of this era. I'm willing to say
Wow.
that. Oh come on! All right, what's your
No,
land?
no, that's
no,
fine.
because
I-
you're all Mr.
I-
Opinion, and then
I was very excited to be doing this. No, it's just
What is your landmark album from this era of Genesis?
I don't know. And then there were three.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard.
I
mean, the internet seems to the internet folk of our.
Well, we already know how much we trust the internet, but go on. They think, and then there were. So I think that's an interesting choice.
They don't. They're more of the wind and the weather.
Okay.
Because
and then there were three references the fact that there were only three members of the band left at the time, which again is another iteration of the band as well. I mean, you could give them a fourth peak if you like.
You could.
So I don't know. I think it's a tough call. It's definitely, you could also bunch them together and just say this iteration of Genesis is a landmark iteration. Just pick an album. It's fine with me. I like them all.
All right. So landmark. So we're calling this perfect and a landmark.
I am. Yes.
All right. Excellent. Let's leave this here, and now we got a live read.
Do you see all the papers I have here?
As soon as the Maestro
Can you-
finds the
can you-
live read.
Can you talk amongst yourselves?
Well, no. So this is like I think a good example of where in life we are faced with changes. So Genesis was in a situation where they had a member of kind of member of the family almost kind of vanish and disappear on them, and there's a certain amount of struggle, a mental heartache that goes along with that. And those situations you can, if you're a bunch of musicians, you can put a great album. But if you're struggling on your own, maybe it's time where you got to reach out and talk to somebody. And in Illinois, we know a good place to turn if you're struggling with relationships, personal issues. If the world is just kind of getting to you, if you're that you feel like that outsider and trick of the tail. And things are bearing down on you. Go find help. Nobody's judging. That's never going to happen these days. And with that, why don't you tell us about some people they can talk to.
Two Fat Guys in an Album is sponsored by Deeper Connections Counseling, helping people connect to themselves, the people they love, and the world around them through individual and couples therapy for Illinois residents, both in person and online. More information at dcctherapy.com.
Yeah, with that, we got a couple other announcements.
Hey, Two Fat Guys in an Album fans. This is Diane Blackburn, realtor with Baird & Warner and proud sponsor of this podcast. I pride myself in being committed to serve as a trusted real estate advisor for all my clients. Whether you're looking to sell, buy, rent, or lease, feel free to reach out and let's chat about how we can work together to make it happen. If you're watching, scan the QR code for my website or give me a call at 630-638-1999. See you on the flip side.
Are you someone who needs help with their Instagram or TikTok? Well, you're in luck. LR Media is here to help. Email me at laurarose2003@aol.com to get started. Let's make your social media shine.
Welcome to Side 2, where we kind of we do different things in this segment. We've done album reviews. We've talked about some new music. We've talked about shows we've seen. I think we have a couple of musical songs kind of.
We do have some musical songs.
Musical songs.
Yeah.
Wow, there's a talk about. And I got a couple of.
That's a snazzy
shows.
shirt you're wearing, by the way.
It is. It's my tribute to Ozzy. It kind of ties everything. A little bit everything we love together. It's
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. I'm
as Ozzy.
Big.
We appreciate. I always have to say we appreciate everybody listening on any platform. But if you want to see the show's shirt, head on over to YouTube. By the way, I don't think we've plugged this in a while, but we have a playlist on Apple Music that is also linked on the YouTube channel, and it's up to 179 songs now.
So it's kind of songs we talked about on the show that we've added to this playlist.
Yeah,
so
everything we've talked about on the show, we pull a couple songs from all the albums we talk about, and then, sometimes we randomly throw in a song, and I might pop that in there. So, yeah, we have a pretty healthy playlist going on.
You're welcome to download it and share it and like it and all that other kind of stuff you can do with it. Okay. So you shared some music with me this week.
I did. Yeah, I had. And it's just what's new, what's going on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So we're going to do the kind of what new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one you shared with me. This is going to be a whole segment of where I butcher names, but we'll ride with it. This I thought was a fascinating piece of music. Tell me a story by Michael
Kiwanuka,
who's a British singer-songwriter, and I from 2011. I thought it was very interesting, but I understand why. So to me, it's very like Bill Withers.
Yes, he's so Michael Kiwanuka definitely has a soul-ish sound.
Very soul R&B, funk, folk kind of thing.
Yes,
but why I could really hear you into it because you could hear some Van Morrison kind of.
Well, it was jazzy. It was like so. First of all, this is
if Van Morrison went jazz instead of yacht rock, it'd be very similar. If he was more soul and blues,
we have to do a yacht rock episode so that we can put an end to this nonsense. But really, it's a really great song. And it was new to me because I know this is supposed to be what's going on now, but I literally heard this song this week for the first time.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
And it's a 2011 song, again, called Tell Me a Tale. It's got great horns in it. I wrote down Tell Me a Tale, but I only heard it this week and don't claim to be an expert. But it has a great horn parts in it.
Tell Me a Tale,
it's very lush arrangement. By Michael Kiwanuka, and it's just a terrific song. He does have newer music, like I'm familiar with his newer songs. Most recently, Floating Parade from his album Small Changes, which is out in 2024, and that was a #1 adult alternative song, but that doesn't matter to you. So not a top song apparently. But that was the first song that I sent you, and it caught my attention.
Yeah.
And again, it's not new; it's new to me.
No, and it's good. And I think if anybody's looking for a little, has a building their own playlist and is looking for a little bit of like soul and R&B to kind of throw in there with a different, little bit of a newer vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really terrific song called "Tell Me a Tale."
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it was very, very good. All right. The next one you threw out was a song called Bowery by Zach Bryan featuring the Kings of Leon.
Yes.
Kind of country meets southern rock story. So it's country meets southern rock, but it's a story about temporary intimacy,
Yes.
invitation at a lower Manhattan kind of bar.
Yes.
So talk about lots of different parts of the country kind of being all thrown together with like some with a story about hey, you want to hook up, I'm good with it, but I'm not looking for a long-term relationship.
Pretty much it. I think you.
But if we do, you're going to like it.
Yeah, that's exactly. I think you've encapsulated the song. You've done a wonderful description of this song. So the reason why I sent it to you and I wanted to talk to you, have you listen to it, wasn't necessarily that I like it. I thought it was interesting because I do like Zach Bryan, and Zach Bryan, he's very introspective, not to be confused with Zach Bryant or some of the like major country. Like Zach Bryan's known for acoustic, introspective, thoughtful songs that are really kind of simple and charming, in my opinion. I actually like him quite a bit. And Kings of Leon, also a band that I like just fine.
More southern rock.
More southern rock. I like Kings of Leon. This particular song, as you described, not really.
I don't know
so
what
I
was
don't know
going
if
on
this
here.
is Zach Bryan sellout. Like they've combined both acts to create maybe like a sellout Nashville country song to me.
Well, you can hear both of them in this. I mean,
Yes.
you can hear that straight country, kind of
Yeah.
acoustic-y country. You can hear the true Kings of Leon sound
It's
in
definitely there.
where kind of comes and goes with this thing. And then it's just this trashy story. It's
Right.
like-
They've taken two things that I generally like and turn into something that I don't so much. But so I wasn't. Yeah, I just wanted your thoughts on it. Really.
It's worth a listen. The song is called Bowery. It's from this year. It's out 2025.
And I think I'm assuming this is a cash grab. I'm assuming that they're going to make $1 bazillion on this song.
It's terrible. All right.
Good. No, it's fine. Some of it's
go.
just like, hey, I thought this was interesting.
It-
Not
it
good,
is-
just
it-
interesting.
It is interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, give it a listen.
Yeah.
You'll hate it too. All right. The last one you sent was a song called Dry Stick.
Mm-hmm.
It's Buddy Guy featuring, I'm assuming, some amazing guitar work by Joe
Bonamassa. Right.
Yeah. Also from this year. So this is a new song from 2015.
2025.
2025, yeah.
Time flies.
2020. I was younger in 2015.
Yeah.
2025. Very soulful gospel vocals. I'm going to say, and I'm going to be wrong, but I'm just going to say this. It's that, because we talked about it once, so now I think I'm an expert, but like down-tempo percussions.
What?
Yeah. And so it's this a narrative story based on a mother's advice to be prepared for life's challenges is what I'm going with.
Okay.
It's save a dry stick for a wet day.
Yeah. Did you like it?
It was great.
It's lovely.
It is great. So the story is great. This sort of you got to save for the tale older in time.
Mm-hmm.
You got to save for the rainy days.
Right.
Which is what this is saying is save the dry sticks because you're going to need a fire when it's cold and
raining.
wet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You never know what's kind of coming. Thought it was good guitar work, but it still had that very gospel-y kind of.
Well, it's a very
soul to it.
traditional blues, right? It's very traditional,
Yeah.
very old school. Buddy Guy, being 89 years old, is really the greatest living legend of the blues right now that we have. He's
Still living.
still
Yeah.
with us and still making great music.
But this is very more. But this is that old blues like amplified to something different.
Okay.
I mean, it has that bluesy gospel feel, but it's modern.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm not sure exactly where you're going with it, but it's, I hear a traditional. Buddy Guy being Rolling Stone's 23rd greatest guitar player, by the way, and probably should be ranked higher than that. So this entire album, it comes from the album called Ain't Done with the Blues, okay, because bluesmen have very poor grammar. And it is a traditional blues album. I haven't had a chance to listen to the whole album yet, but I've listened to a few songs. It does feature a bunch of collaborations. Joe Walsh appears, Joe Bonamassa, Peter Frampton, Kingfish Ingram, who is also a real strong connection.
So those are like master guitar players.
Yes, all of them, every one of them. And then the Blind Boys of Alabama appear on this. So I don't think Buddy is playing guitar on this song, and it's brand new. So Joe Bonamassa would be
doesn't sound like him.
Right.
It sounds,
do newer and different sound. And Joe Bonamassa, to be honest, I've always considered him a little jive. But he sounds, I think his playing is very tasteful on this song, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. Also appearing on this album, along with those other massive and there are cover songs on this album, so you might not like it because it's got a lot of covers. But I love it. But Jeff Beck's bassist, this is a name you probably don't know, Tal Wilkenfeld, was the bassist for Jeff Beck. One of my all-time, for real, favorite bassist.
She's a lot of those.
No, this one, she is in the top 5. She's fantastic. And if you want to check her out, with Jeff Beck back in 2007, there's a performance of her playing, what's the name of this song? Doggone it. Not going to remember the name of the song, but I'll link it. But there's a performance of her playing at Chicago Crossroads Festival in 2007, and from the same year at Ronnie Scott's festival. I'm going to remember the name of the song. When We Were Lovers, I think it was called, is the name of the song. Sorry, it's deep down in there. But she's only 21 at that time, and she's playing with Jeff Beck. Amazing. And I listen to this particular performance like once a month, like just to remind me what good bass
What's
playing
her name again?
Tal Wilkenfeld. She's, I'm pretty sure, Australian. Tal, T-A-L. Wilkenfeld. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful bass player.
Is that short for tall?
I think so. Yeah. Also performing on this album, and Allman Brothers organist Chuck Leavell is on this album as well. I think this is probably a pretty killer album.
What's the name of the album?
The album is called Ain't Done with the Blues, and it's a 2025 album.
And the song we were talking about was Dry Stick, which I think you should give a listen to.
Yep.
All right. I don't have any music to share, but I want to talk about a couple of kind of shows I stumbled upon that I'm intrigued about. One was just because I don't know. So House of Blues I've already mocked today once, so I'm not going to go there again. But the Plain White Tees are touring with
Chicago band.
Yes, like Chicago suburban band,
right.
Like Oak Park or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plain White Tees are touring with We the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
They're in
Christmas show?
November 1st, they're in Chicago at the House of Blues. It's like a goth or emo show or something.
Okay.
I don't know what they're
Plain
billing
White
it
Tees
as.
isn't really.
Yeah, no, I know, but look it up.
House of Blues is a great venue, by the
Right.
way. Just to clarify.
So no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just not a massive place that you'd be all that excited about selling out. It's not, it's not a stadium. It's like selling out your backyard.
Okay, so all the bands that you drag me to, all of them
I'm not gushing over
How
them
many?
in here.
You
like,
do
well,
gush.
I
We've
don't
covered
gush.
them. How many stadiums has car seat headrest sold out?
They're wonderful.
How many?
You shut your
How
mouth.
many
You
top?
shut your
how
mouth.
many top 40 songs does car seat headrest
You
have?
shut your mouth right now, Mister.
Go
They
on.
haven't been around for 40 years.
All right, tell me your
All
keep
right.
going.
$71.
Yeah.
Get in the door at House of Blues for
it's
plain
an-
white tees.
It's an
and
intimate
DRT.
show. I mean, they have to.
But there's intimate, yeah.
yeah.
But there's also 2 songs, isn't it? You know,
Hey there, Delilah.
and
I think
Juliet something.
Yeah.
weird.
Right. I think Plain White Tees actually have another song. So they
Not a
could
one-hit
be
wonder?
they could be a 2-hit wonder, but I can't think of that right now.
Yeah.
I think if you like either of those bands, the House of Blues would be a lovely
It
venue
would be.
to see
It would
them.
be.
And $71 to see a band that you like is about the going rate these days.
Yeah, I guess.
So
I
if it's a
guess.
band you don't like, it's probably too much money. But if it's a band you like, that's probably
Well,
the going rate.
So I don't know if it's, so my question, I guess, is it worth like whatever math is going to be, $35.50 to see them do Hey There, Delilah?
I'm
and-
assuming the people that go there
Yeah.
like more than 2 songs. You wanted to go
Would you
see...
go?
I would... No. Well, no, I don't even know the first band, quite honestly.
We the King?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know them. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe I've
they're
heard
good.
the songs.
They're not-
But
No,
there was...
you've
I
heard one
forget the
song.
exact concert that was gonna happen, that did happen already, that you wanted to go see, and it was like Simple Minds
Oh,
and
yeah.
the Melt with You, Modern
English and
somebody
else. Yeah.
And they were in between the 3 bands. They had like 4 hit songs, and you kind of were trying to talk me into going to see that.
I was.
So
I would.
I don't know. It depends if you like
Because
it
it was
enough.
3 headliners. They probably each play an hour. It would be great.
All right.
Would have been great.
Okay.
Simple Mind.
It was Simple Minds, Modern Modern English,
And somebody else.
and a different one-hit wonder band.
Yeah, like
Maybe they had
Golden
2
Earring
hits.
or somebody.
I think you're right. I think
Yeah.
that's who it was.
Yeah.
I think
Who
you're
was
exact.
2,
Yeah.
I believe.
So,
Yeah.
anyways,
I would.
No,
Still
I think
would
if
have
you
gone.
like, if
we
you
we
look,
missed a great show.
how many
Sure.
bands have you again? Because you're so judgy. You're so incredibly judgy. How many bands? How much did the car seat headrest ticket cost? You don't have to say it out loud. And then if you asked a whole bunch of people on the street, would you pay that much money to see car seat headrest? What do you think the answer would be?
If they're smart, they'd be absolutely. They're phenomenal.
All right.
Loved it. Loved every minute of it.
So-
Loved even being told not to,
So judgy.
not to. They were judging.
They were. Nah, you want judgy? They were
Yeah.
judgy.
All right. The last thing I have, and then we'll go on to the other album, is the Tame Impalas
Okay.
are coming in November, or have came in November, depending on when
And
the
then
show
when you
gets
hear
out,
this,
to the United Center of all places.
big arena for
big venue.
somehow a
For-
rock band is filling a venue.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, they can. They're just not that new. There, and I looked. I wanted to see what ticket prices were, and like the 300 levels, so way up there.
Right.
They were. You could buy them today.
Okay.
They were like $300 or something
To get
a
in the
ticket.
door.
Right. And if you wanted to be on the main floor, they were $1,800.
Okay.
And then I realized that the Maestro Music said never click on the top 2 sites.
Oh, yeah.
Always scroll down.
Is that
So I
okay.
scrolled down to Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
Found Ticketmaster.
Right.
And the tickets weren't on sale yet.
Right.
So how the heck are people selling you tickets for crazy amounts of money before the tickets are actually on sale?
Yeah, that's a really good question. First of all, Live Nation is evil, or the promoter and all that. So I'm just going to get that out of the way. There could be any number of answers to your question. So I have Blackhawk tickets, as you know. I have partial, very small. Not the Maestro does not have billions of dollars. We could use as advertiser for the third segment.
Yeah.
So maybe I could get a full season.
Right.
But I have Blackhawk tickets, and as a Blackhawk ticket person, I get dibs on pre-sales and things like that. So I actually probably at some point could have bought these tickets myself. Maybe if they're not on sale yet, I know I'm going to be able to get ticket. I don't really know. So I can perhaps buy these tickets and put them up for resale immediately and charge whatever I want for them.
Sure.
Okay. So that's one possible answer. The prices that you're seeing, they're going to put, so there are, I'm not going to call them scam sites, but like you said, there are places that specifically like jack up the ticket prices ahead of time, and then the ticket prices will drop perhaps when they do ultimately go on sale. There is a problem with, say, Ticketmaster holding back tickets. I don't want to be sued. And I don't know the entirety of this, but there is the possibility that the legitimate ticket company, could be any ticket company, might hold back tickets and not actually be selling all the tickets when they say they're available. So it's possible that some people get pre-sale access and have already posted them for resale. It's possible that the original ticket company, who shall be nameless, has already held back those seats and is charging an exorbitant price for them. And then the third thing is, once those tickets do come out for sale, then the value of those will likely drop, unless
Sure.
it turns out to be a sold-out show, in which case they'll try to get maximum dollar for it. So those are possibilities. But I will say, for all of our listeners out there, when you do go to buy tickets, it is important to know if you're buying from a resale site or from the primary site. But even if you go to Ticketmaster, and this is not controversial, you will see resale tickets now on Ticketmaster. But they mark them. You can tell that they're resale if you look closely. So you can get tickets for the original price from Ticketmaster. And then, for example, if I bought these Tame Impala tickets and I wanted to relist them, I might relist them on Ticketmaster.
Sure.
So just be
careful.
up. Just be careful on that, because you can pay resale prices when you don't need to.
Excellent. All right. So I wouldn't mind seeing Tame Impalas.
Not against it. Wish I had known that when I got the email that asked me if I wanted to buy the tickets.
Yeah. All right. And I think we will flip this album over to side 3, and we'll be back after this message.
Yeah.
This episode of Two Fat Guys in an Album is brought to you by Smidge Films. If you're looking to bring your ideas to life with some cool cinematic work, Smidge Films has you covered. From brand stories to promos, we'll help you tell your story in a way that really sticks. Check us out and see what we can do for you.
Welcome to side 3, which is beyond classic rock. So we kind of look at different albums, maybe hidden gems or pieces of music that may have snuck by you that we think are worth talking about to our traditional classic rock album fans. This is an interesting one. So this is Misplaced Childhood by the English band Marillion from 1985.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of fits right in squarely into that kind of era.
Right.
We saw them play a lot of this in.
So I have to correct you. You saw them. I was late for the show and missed it. So I don't want to sit up here as the maestro and say that I saw a show that I didn't.
You were in the building
for the show. They were opening for Rush.
Rush, right?
And
we clarified which tour that was. Right?
I did, and I didn't write down.
I was thinking it was the Roll the Bones tour.
No, it wasn't.
Because I distinctly remember them playing Roll the Bones, but
really,
it might have been.
Yeah, because I looked it up because they toured with. You probably
the album after.
Yeah, you probably did see the Roll the Bones tour, but that wasn't the one with Fish. And then really? I unfortunately was detained for who knows what reason.
Speeding, probably.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And I was late for the show. I did get to see Rush. And this was also at the Rosemont Horizon.
It was.
Yeah, and I recall this being the best seats I have ever had at an arena concert. We were in I think the 15th row for this show.
Yeah.
But I walked in, and to probably complete your story, you guys said Marillion just got booed off the stage.
They did. And I passionately love this album. Have for probably from the time it dropped. I'm not sure. I struggle with this album, even being we're talking about this as beyond classic rock,
Right.
Because I think this could be a headliner show album.
Yeah, and if I could piggyback on that, this is actually the first Beyond Classic Rock album that outperformed the featured album on our show. This was a #1 album in the UK, and it went platinum.
Yeah.
So whereas the other charted lower than that, I think it was a 3 in the UK and was only a gold album. So
Did this have singles? I mean, there was this.
Well, again, we're talking about the album rock
Yeah.
stations that we listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing would be on the top 40 that
yeah.
you value so highly, apparently. But Kaylee, the second song, was a UK 2, and we heard it on our album rock stations. And Lavender's Blue, the third song, was a UK 5. So there were actual singles off of this album.
Yeah.
And I heard in Lavender, both of those were played on American radio, at least the stations I listened to at the time.
And these are the first like 4 songs here are songs that my wife will actually sing along with.
Okay.
You know, who's not this? I don't necessarily think this is her kind of.
So that it's accessible. I think when you make that
Yeah,
reference,
right.
you're saying this is
Right.
accessible music.
Well, I believe our first daughter was almost named Kaylee after this song.
Right. It wouldn't have
it's
surprised.
how much of an influence this album had on us.
Yeah, it wouldn't have surprised me if that's what happened.
Yeah.
The song was written. It's an autobiographical song, and it was written about his girlfriend Kay Lee, Kay space Lee. And he cleverly
disguised
it as Kaylee.
Kaylee, yeah.
One word.
No one would have caught that on.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the band. I mean, we
Well, the band, right. So they're neo-prog, which this, again, is the genre thing that annoys me so much. Like, why aren't they just prog? Why can't they be prog? So if you consider Trick of the Tail prog from 1976 and not neo-prog.
Correct.
Okay. This is 10 years after that.
Yep.
And there's pretty much a direct lineage of prog music going to this date. I mean, I guess there was a little bit of a break, because we did have this discussion before where I proposed that Rush was Moving Pictures album was the end of PROG-ROCK. So in that sense, perhaps there was a couple of years break, and then you had a new prog movement. And so in that sense, it's neo-prog. But I don't know. It's just prog. It's just this sounds so much like Genesis.
Well, they were actually criticized. This is sort of their breakout album, if you will. But they were criticized for sounding a lot like Genesis and Yes and you know those Pink Floyd and those classic kind of King Crimson, those classic prog bands. And this was where they sort of busted out on their own.
Yeah.
And created their own sort of sound identity, if you will. Identity, probably.
Well, I don't buy that. I mean, I think it still sounds like Genesis to me.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not even saying it as a knock against them, because I do think they have their own sound and their own personality. They're not a copycat band by any means, but you can clearly see the influences.
100%.
Yeah, there is no doubt about the influences on this album. In fact, I forget which song it was, but it was the first time I was listening to the album in preparation for the show, and it started, and I was like, wait, did my playlist switch to Genesis? Because I literally, for a moment, thought it was a Genesis song.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how much it kind of sounds like Genesis.
So just a quote here from Mike Portnoy. Did you see this quote?
No.
His
former drummer.
He's the former drummer of Dream Theater.
Right.
He commented here that with Misplaced Childhood, Marillion proved they weren't a clone of Genesis, and with it they reached the status of being considered one of the best progressive rock acts ever.
Okay, well, Mike Portnoy has ideas, and he's a wonderful drummer. But
I'm with him. I think this is the distinction. Now, Fugazi was before this.
Yes. Yeah. The first album was Script for a Jester's Tear,
Yes.
and then which I loved also, and then Fugazi second, and then this. And I always thought of this as a sort of a trilogy, anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's,
And even the artwork and
Right,
on the
right.
albums sort of link the albums.
so the album Fugazi was the one I found first.
Okay. I knew
And I'm not
Script.
sure where we got it from.
Well, I
but-
knew Script from A Jester's Tear when it came out.
Yeah, so Fugazi is the one I got,
And
kind of when I came out, probably from you.
Right. I could see that.
And then I went backwards to Script, and then
Right.
then this was released, and I was gaga.
This is the one
Yeah,
that grabbed
this
you.
is-
Well, it was the
I
most
thought
popular
Fugazi
album.
I thought Fugazi was a great album, and again, like the Genesis album we talked, it was very, very, both Script and Fugazi were very, very literary.
Yes. As
No.
is this album.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
All right, so almost let's start over here. So the band is Fish is the
Fish is the lead singer. His actual name is Derek Dick.
which is why he goes by Fish.
But she goes by Fish. Vocalist, lyricist,
Yeah.
and really poet. I mean, the lyrics are extraordinary. They're some of the finest
Yeah,
lyrics there
yeah.
are.
Yeah. Deep. Yeah.
And just eloquent and exceptional. Shortened from the band Marillion came from the Silmarillion, the Tolkien prequel to
Yeah.
The Hobbit and Lord of the
Rings,
Rings. Read all of those. I don't recall if I forced myself through the Silmarillion or
I
not,
didn't get through it.
but I know I read a good part of it.
Yeah.
So to me, and again, you talk about iterations of bands, and I alluded to this earlier in the show. Fish is Marillion.
To me.
And when he left the band, Marillion no longer existed.
But
It turns out they do, and they did fine
Yeah.
without him.
different sound. I've listened to a couple of things since then. It's a
Okay.
very different band, and it's less literary.
Okay. Well, you don't have your lyricist, and he's a very theatrical and dramatic singer.
And from as much as and very distinct sounding voice.
Very.
So as much as I gush about this iteration of Marillion, I don't know anything about the other musicians.
No, nor do I really. But they're all wonderful because the band, like the music's equally fantastic. Like again, when we talk about all, and I've said this before, even with Rush. I'm gonna, I guess, digress just a bit here, but most of the time, lyrics. Like if you want your lyrics to be heard, usually the music's simpler. And so you have like your singer-songwriter types who are just singing there with the guitar, and they have these really thoughtful, poignant lyrics. And then a lot of times the lyrics become less important with the complexity of the music, right? And so you have whatever you do to your music, your production, all that stuff, and the lyrics tend to take a backseat to that. These albums we're talking about today have the best of both worlds. They have fantastic lyrics that are somehow highlighted by the music. Like there's a marriage of amazing music and lyrics, and to me, it's my favorite. I don't even want to call it a genre, but when the music and the lyrics match up, and there's some intelligence behind both, you're at my happy place. So
Sure.
Yeah.
No. So I like when we do an album like this. I don't like to inundate people who we're kind of encouraging people to kind of step out of their comfort zone of classic rock and kind of listen to something else. And I like to say, here's a song to start with, or here's a couple of songs to listen to. This is like put on the first side of the album. Start with one and listen to the first side, and
Yeah.
you will by yourself flip it over to the second side.
Yeah.
This it starts with Pseudo Silk Kimono.
I mean, if you're not in it, Pseudo Silk Kimono, just
Right, Pseudo Silk Kimono is very good, and then you hit Kaylee and Lavender, which are just great. And these things, I don't know what you call it really when the songs kind of roll into each other.
Well, so again, it's a concept album in general, right? So,
but there's not like a fade. The fade out is the start.
right.
Of
There's
the
no
next,
segue
I don't
between.
know how to say that.
There's no segue between the songs. There's no dead space between the songs. So, I think you described it fairly. Normally you have 2 seconds in between each song on an album track, but this is.
But even like a distinctive end. But this is almost like the last note is the first note to the next song.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is what it is. One song segues into the next.
Who's the maestro, huh? All right, go on.
Very observant of you. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
But I mean, that just shows you the intention of this as a unified piece of music and not, and it's interesting because there's also multiple songs on here that are suites in and of themselves that have like 5 mini songs inside of them.
Yeah.
So there's layers. It's like an onion. But yes, this isn't for sure an album that's meant to be taken in its entirety.
Do you want to call out a song? I mean, you say listen to the first side. It's great. But do you want to call out a song, or do you have any kind of interesting notes on a song?
Well, I will say, like, again, it's a concept album. It's mostly, loosely autobiographical. There's a lot of personal information in this song. The hits are Kaylee and Lavender's Blue, but they also don't do the album justice because the rest of the album, like, it's not a hit factory. It's the flow from one song to the other. You would ask me, another thing that you would ask me last show was about major and minor, the keys in music, and I said it's like happy, sad type stuff. Yeah. This album is the perfect album to listen to, like, if you want to understand what I'm saying. Because you'll notice that, on the back side of the album, it's really from number 6, from Waterhole Espresso Bongo, all the way down to 6, 7, 8, which is Blind Curve with 5 songs on it. It's a downward spiral. Like, the narrator is just spiraling down into like a really darkness and drugs and alcohol and depression and prostitution and all just. And then it changes at childhood end. It's like the sun came up, right? And musically, childhood end is in a major key. So you have been living in a minor key, which has created this darkness for multiple songs for probably, I didn't time it out, for maybe 15 minutes. He's just been dragging you down. And then boom, change of key, change of from minor to major, and that's what creates that powerful effect. And it's really amazing that he ends up happy at the end of all this. Like that he's gone through all this relationship difficulty and life on the road difficulty and all this stuff, and it was sort of cathartic in a way, right? In realizing, there's the loss of innocence. Like misplaced childhood implies a loss of innocence and perhaps difficulties, and then realizing that he hasn't. That childhood end comes up with there is no childhood end. It's the ultimate message. Like life goes on, and you can be happy and joyful and all that.
But it's that loss of innocence. It's the maturing. What you think is the end of your world with the end of a relationship,
right?
Turns out to be and the depression or whatever you kind of can struggle through.
Right.
It ends.
He comes out.
It comes out.
He came out on the other side. Yeah, so, he comes out on the other. I hate to spoiler alert, but it's so striking. Yeah. It's so stunningly.
It absolutely is.
Yeah,
and we talk a lot on this show about people who don't make it to the end.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a sponsor who we talk about this.
Deals with this professionally all
right,
the time.
You know, about how these struggles happen, and here's somebody kind of working through those steps of almost grief of a relationship.
No,
right?
100% grief
You know,
of a relationship.
So that happens. That happens in life. That happens in marriages. That happens in things. And you know, and this has a happy ending. We talk about many stories in this podcast that don't have a happy ending.
Right.
Again, you know, emphasize if you're struggling with things, you're feeling these kind of statuses. Go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with talking to people. So.
Yeah, and then White Feather's the last song on the album, which I kind of look at as an epilogue because
It is.
the end of the album is Childhood End.
Yeah.
And then there's like one more song
Yeah,
tagged
right,
on at
yeah.
the end, which is also a wonderful song. I do have to throw out their Blind Curve, which is the 8th song, is a 5-song suite. Just because I know this is one of your arguments, I'm assuming you didn't like it because you couldn't skip to one of the individual songs. You were forced to listen to all of them.
I don't skip anything on this album, but yes, I understand where you're going with that.
Okay. I think this is a wonderful album. It's an amazing album. I can't. Yeah.
So I when I started talking about this, I said I struggle with where to place this because I think it could be a lead.
No, I think this is just something we've talked about like in production meetings. It's really a question of popular. I think this album's good enough to be a featured album.
Just not.
It's just, is it popular enough? Is it the kind of thing that our listeners would want to hear as a popular album?
Yeah.
Or like you said, as the introduction, is this something, that's sort of like a hidden gem that maybe a lot of people don't know about and we're trying to bring to their attention? So it's really, to me, about do people know this album or not? And does it belong in the, hey, we're going to tell you about a great album here, or is it the front of the show, which is like, hey, you know about this great album already,
Right.
but we're going to dive into it for you.
So how many fat guys would you give this?
Oh, it's 10 fat guys.
Yeah.
This one goes to 11.
I was going to say this is 11. Scale of 1 to 10, this is an 11.
Yeah.
This is great. I agree. The album is Misplaced Childhood, 1985 by the English band Marillion. If you're not familiar with Marillion, they fit very nicely. If you're a fan of Genesis or
in the Peter Gabriel iteration of Genesis as well, like
very
it's
much, yes.
it's almost
If
closer
you're-
to that than
if you're on any level you like the old Genesis stuff, I would jump right at it. If you're a fan of Floyd or Yes or King Crimson, Jethro Tull, there's something here for you. Totally worth listening to. It's an 11 fat guys for me. Out of 10, and we won't do that again. But that's
we
totally
can.
agree
I
with
mean,
you.
but this one
Yeah.
is. I mean, I'm not saying this is the only 11 in the that
Yeah,
exists,
yeah.
but I mean, this is
It's pretty close.
yeah.
Give it a listen. Just throw it on. Start at the beginning. Start with Pseudo Silk Komodo. See how far you get there. I'm pretty sure you'll finish it if you like Genesis. Okay. With that, let's flip this over one more time. This is the part of the show, side 4 here. There's no break for sponsors because we don't have a sponsor. You want to sponsor us, reach out. If you want to, go ahead and share this with somebody. Talk about us. We're starting to attract a following. You can do your part if you enjoy listening to us, if you made it this far, by sharing this with some friends. All right, so on side 4, we start out with the Maestro ranking the album. So taking this album, I would struggle with this one because I'd want to rank both of them. But
Right.
we'll rank where Trick of the Tail falls onto our extensive list of 28 albums.
And Marillion honestly would be ahead of some of my. It would fit in the top 28, I think, for me as well.
Yeah.
But we are only ranking A Trick of the Tail by Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a prog masterpiece. I've got it in with a couple other prog masterpieces. First of all, I have to say number 1, Sgt. Pepper. Number 2, Moondance by Van Morrison. I've got Trick of the Tail at 17. I have it behind Moving Pictures, and that was really the one that I so you start to get a comp. You start to think, where does this belong? Where does this fit in? And I'm like, oh, Moving Pictures. I like that album a lot. Yeah. And does this album beat Moving Pictures or not? That's kind of where I was. And so the answer is I like Moving Pictures better. I think I'm leaving Trick of the Tail one behind Moving Pictures and ahead of Bat Out of Hell at 18. And I know Bat Out of Hell is a current top 10 for you, so you're going to get itchy about this.
I'm always itchy. Well, you read 1 and 2, and I got itchy. But this is really kind of stating, for how much both of us love this album.
Yeah.
The fact that it's at 17.
We have a lot of good albums.
The power of that list. Right?
Yes.
What we've done.
No, there's so many good albums we talk about.
That's interesting. What are we doing for the next show?
It's your pick.
Well.
Okay.
Stay tuned to hear what's exciting for our next show.
Chauncey, we're going to edit this out. Chauncey, this is the safe word. Edit this out.
I don't know.
Mystery album?
Mystery album.
It's going to be awesome.
Exciting.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be. And probably the Beyond Classic Rock will be interesting as well. All right. With that, we will thank our production team from Smidge Films, Chauncey and Company. Thank you very much for all you do for us. Our media team from LR Media. Our sponsors, Deeper Connections Counseling, and Diane Blackburn from Beard and Warner. I am Fat Guy 1.
Fat Guy 2.
We'll see you next time.
Can't wait to hear what we're doing next week.
Yeah, a little contentious. You were a little.
I wasn't. It's a simple question with a simple answer, and you just tap dance around it.
I said the answer 3 times. You just don't want to hear it because it didn't.
It does fit.
It didn't join in your.
It did. It completely confirmed what I was saying.
Didn't join into your. No, it didn't.
It did. It confirmed.
No.
Confirmation. I have confirmation that
Sister Hazel is not only a one-hit wonder. They suck.
That's contentious. I don't know if you have your dictionary on you. But
didn't say it online. Didn't say it during the show. Sucks.
I may be flipping pages here.
Because happens a lot with you.
Well, when you have facts that you want to talk about, not just make things up.
It's good that after all this time we can still crack ourselves up.
I crack myself up when I'm listening to the episodes, when I'm doing the thing. Like, oh, it's pretty funny.
Look at me, I'm funny.
Yeah.